Hey, how's it going, folks? We're just going to get into the Elimination Chamber review and recap here, as we are going live here on the channel. I do thank everybody for coming into the channel tonight to watch. We're just going to wait a few minutes here to get some people in the channel here as we go live. It's been a while since we did a live recap of a pay-per-view. Thought we'd do it on camera tonight. Yesterday we did do a review, predictions for the Elimination Chamber. So tonight we're doing a recap and review, and we'll get into it in a few minutes here. What's up, The Shield? What's up, Custom Wrestling Graphics? Richard Storm, Top Notch. Haunting the Shadows 13. What's up, El Spicy? Just wait for a few people here. That stings so bad for Kofi, bro. Keon Cody, what's going down? Miltis Christie, what's happening? We're just going to get into the review here in just a moment here. Make way for a few people to join. And we'll get into the pay-per-view. What was everyone's favorite match? What do you think? Throw it in the chat. We can discuss it. I've been doing all right, man. I've been doing all right, Broken Matthew. What's up, Pinsky? How you doing? We got about 42 watching right now. Can everybody hear me okay? That's the million-dollar question. If everybody can hear me, if the mic is sounding right, everything's sounding Gucci, let me know. Men's elimination match was the best. 8 out of 10 show, in my opinion, because the ending mainly that brought the crowd back. I want to say that the men's Elimination Chamber match was one of my favorite Elimination Chamber matches in the history of the Elimination Chamber. It was a fun watch. I really enjoyed it. The women's Elimination Chamber match wasn't too bad either. It was a lot better than I expected. There was a few matches on the card which I thought were terrible. There was a few good ones. It was a terrible ending, guys. Kofi doesn't need that title. Do you think AEW is going to take over WWE? Brian, AEW has yet to do an actual event, so I can't really speak on that quite yet. As of right now, I don't see them taking anything over. They're obviously going to do their own event. But tonight is not about AEW. It's about WWE Elimination Chamber. We will go through the entire card momentarily. We got about 50 people in the live stream right now. I do appreciate everyone who is in the live stream, everyone in the chat, everyone who has been supporting over the last few years now. So we will get into the actual pay-per-view here, starting off with the actual kickoff show match, which, quite honestly, was one of my favorite matches of the night. I really enjoyed seeing Buddy Murphy and Akira Tozawa. It ended up being a fantastic match between the two. I wouldn't expect anything less between those two guys. They definitely brought some really, really good wrestling to the pay-per-view. Let's see here. Random face reveal. Actually, Crazy Michael, if you've been in the been around for a couple weeks now, I did a face reveal a couple weeks back. The length of the pay-per-view was perfect. It was a perfect length. It ended about, I want to say, like 10 minutes ago. Pre-show started at 6. The actual event started at 7. Around 3 hours, 20 minutes. Perfect amount of time. Going off with the kickoff show, we did see Buddy Murphy defeat Akira Tozawa via pinfall. And as far as the match goes, there was one spot, there was an inverted Hurricanrana and a tope suicida followed by a senton on Murphy. Great combination there. That was such a near fall there for Tozawa. It was like almost a 3 count. It was like a 2.95 count. I love some of those near falls that they had in that match. there was an attempt on an octopus submission from Tozawa, but Murphy broke out of it and then hit Murphy's Law for the 1, the 2, and the 3. It was a solid match between both those cruiserweights. And if you aren't watching 205 Live every week, I suggest you go back and just watch a random episode. Some of the best actual wrestling, on the program for WWE. I love watching it every week. Sometimes I can't watch it live every week, but it is fantastic. The match tonight, I want to say it was a solid B, a B+, quite possibly. Kickoff show match. I always love watching the cruiserweights. As far as Buddy Murphy still being champion, I would have liked to see Akira Tozawa get that strap, but I think they're going to keep Buddy Murphy as the champ at least until WrestleMania, and then we'll go from there and see who the next star could be. Haunting the Shadows 13. Last Sunday I wasn't saying I want Kofi Kingston as champion, but now it's a different story. The thing is now, Mustafa Ali was originally supposed to be in that match. He was originally supposed to be in that gauntlet match last week. Do you think that Mustafa Ali would have had the same type of showing in that match as Kofi Kingston? Do you think they would have given him the same type of opportunities? They are pushing Mustafa Ali. Obviously, now he's a part of the main event scene. Do you think that they would have given him that same opportunity? Or do you think that they would have just let him have, maybe just another match? I don't know. Some people in the chat here are saying no way. Stephen Hendricks, he thinks that they wouldn't have put Mustafa Ali in that same position. But at the same time, did they just replace Kofi Kingston with what Mustafa Ali was supposed to do? Was Mustafa Ali supposed to go through that entire gauntlet match? Was Mustafa Ali supposed to be one of the final 2 participants in the Elimination Chamber match tonight? Crazy Michael, I kind of agree with you there. I think they would have put Mustafa Ali in a similar position as Kofi Kingston tonight, and as you can see, Kofi was super over. He was quite the underdog, and I honestly didn't think he was going to win that title, strictly for the fact that I don't think Daniel Bryan's going to lose that title anytime soon. They literally just made a custom title for the guy. Do you think he's going to lose it right away? He's going to be holding that eco-friendly title for at least until Mania. You got to think about that for a second, folks. He just got that title. I think he's going to hold it at least until Mania. As far as what's going on in the chat, Samoa Joe didn't look horrible, though. Just wasn't his place to win. You know what? I was kind of surprised that Samoa Joe was eliminated that early in the match. I would have liked to see Samoa Joe and Kofi Kingston have a bit more chemistry in that match together. I thought it would have been cool. I like seeing big guys and smaller guys together. I know Kofi could have just sold so perfectly for Samoa Joe. Sprix 3D, what's up with Ronda Rousey's new ring gear? Well, Ronda Rousey's new ring gear is based off the character Sonya Blade, which she is playing for the new Mortal Kombat video game. So that is the reason for that. Anand Prakash info. Who will be Bryan's opponent at Mania? That is a very, very good question. Who do you think will be Bryan's opponent at Mania? I personally can see Kofi maybe getting a shot at that title at Fastlane. I know that there was advertisements that I believe it was AJ Styles maybe being in there, or a 3-way, but I think Kofi would have a good chance, and it'll be a good transition pay-per-view for him to maybe have another shot, maybe at that championship. If not, they really need to do a one-on-one match between Kofi Kingston and Daniel Bryan, at least on SmackDown. I don't want it to be over for Kofi Kingston as a singles wrestler. I really think that him being as a singles competitor, also as part of the New Day, is good for him. I really like it. What do you think WWE will do with Asuka? There's no worthy opponent for her on the main roster right now. Obviously, there's going to be somebody for Asuka at WrestleMania. Right now, there's obviously nobody that they have creatively for her. The U.S. title also was not on the pay-per-view tonight, which is kind of odd that they didn't have that. They didn't have Rusev on the pay-per-view. They could have had, some showing of the U.S. Championship. They could have even had Nakamura out there, but they didn't. They didn't even put it on the pre-show. Pay-per-view proved WWE don't care about the women's tag team division, giving it to two singles, not a dedicated tag team. Well, here's the story, Garage Video Australia. When it comes to the women's tag team titles, they've been teasing it for quite some time now that the Boss and Hug Connection are the ones who want to be the first champions of these new belts. We can get into the whole when was the actual first women's tag team title argument as well. Obviously, it was in the WWF. WWE seems to not recognize that. If you're following me on Twitter, I went through all kinds of stuff with that tonight. But Boss and Hug Connection, obviously, they thought was the best candidates to have those titles. I personally wanted to see Nia Jax and Tamina get those titles, and for the Boss and Hug Connection to basically chase them for the titles. But let's get back into the pay-per-view here. The Women's Tag Team Championship Elimination Chamber match. As far as participants goes, in the order of entry, we had the Boss and Hug Connection first. And then the first team eliminated were Naomi and Carmella. They were eliminated by the Iconics. And then we had Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville come in. And the Iconics were then eliminated by Nia Jax and Tamina. We had the Riot Squad coming in at third. And they were eliminated by Nia Jax and Tamina. And then we had the Iconics coming in fourth. We had Naomi and Carmella in fifth. And Nia Jax and Tamina coming in last. Jax and Tamina were eventually taken out by the Boss and Hug Connection. And then Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose were also taken out by the Boss and Hug Connection. And they are your new WWE Women's Tag Team title champions, I should say. As far as the match goes, I want to give it like a C+, a B-. It was a good match. It wasn't... They could have made it much longer. It wasn't boring by any means. It just kind of flowed okay. There was a couple instances during mid-match where it kind of was getting a little bit boring. But then there was one spot where Nia Jax went through one of the pods, and it kind of woke some people up. It was kind of like, oh, there's some cool things going on now. I enjoyed the match. Overall, it was a bit of a fairy tale ending with the Boss and Hug Connection getting those women's tag team titles. Now the big thing is, who is going to face them next? Will we see Tamina and Nia Jax try to get some retribution? Will we see Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose try to go for those titles, say at WrestleMania? Will we see the Iconics? There's a lot that could happen right now. Obviously, the champions are on Raw, so it would only make sense for somebody like Nia Jax and Tamina to maybe go after it right now, as they need, I think, the biggest retribution, especially from that one spot where Nia Jax did go through that pod. As far as the Superstar Shakeup goes, that's going to happen after WrestleMania, so we could see obviously some shifting going around there. Let's get back in the chat here, see what's going on. Kofi was amazing. Why won't they put the belt on him? I was surprised that the Uso won. Labib Haq. So it's kind of interesting here. Jimmy Uso obviously had some issues with the police this past week, and total Vince logic, let's reward him. They got the titles. That could have been the plan all along, as far as we know, but obviously he didn't get thrown in the doghouse from that incident with the police. Usos had to win. WWE doesn't want them to lose. the Usos contracts are up soon. You know what? That could be part of the case where they don't want the Usos to leave. They want to keep the titles on them. Obviously, their contracts are expiring in April. WWE ruined Ruby, and for what? Well, I think having Ruby versus Ronda Rousey was just one of those matches that they really didn't have to put on the pay-per-view. I thought it was a really big filler match. Obviously, the story that they wanted to tell was the story with Becky Lynch and Charlotte. That basically overshadowed anything from the Ronda Rousey Ruby match. So that, I think, was the reason they even had Ronda Rousey come out to defend that title. They needed to have some throwaway match for it, and then that's for them to set up the whole Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair segment that they did have. They had announcers out for Carmella's entrance. They were talking. Safe A13, why did Lacey Evans show up? That is a great question. I have a feeling Vince was just like, hey, send out one of the new people, send out Lacey Evans, have her show up on TV. I don't know. That could be it. We got a little spam up in here. Live HD football. We do not care about HD football. Maynac.com. How do you feel about Braun Strowman booking? Am I the only one waiting for Bray Wyatt to return? So, Spricks, it would have been, I think, a great time for Bray Wyatt to save Braun Strowman from that attack from Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin. I was just waiting. I was just thinking, like, hey, that would have been a great time for them to, for Bray Wyatt to show up. He could have saved, but I don't know. Obviously, he didn't. Let's go into the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match. Before the match started, what's up, James Taylor? What's up, Peel? I couldn't watch the pay-per-view. I just got home from work, so I'll catch up listening to you do the review. It's about time to do the live chat. Loving it, bro. Man in Black, appreciate the support. I know it's been a minute since I've done some of these live after-show reviews. I do appreciate everyone up in here. So before the match actually started, we had The Miz come out, and The Miz introduced his wife Maurice, and they announced that they are having baby number 2, which got a big pop from the crowd. And, you know, it's great to hear. Miz being face is kind of interesting still to me. I don't know what to think about it. It's really interesting, Miz being face, but obviously that's his place in the company right now. And also Owens, they had a segment with him tonight where he was, you know, obviously a babyface as well, which is quite interesting. So the Usos versus The Miz and Shane McMahon. The Usos are your new SmackDown Tag Team Champions. It was like a pretty decent match. I want to say it wasn't the best showing from the Usos. Shane McMahon is good for some high spots. The Miz is just a solid wrestler. I've seen better matches from the Usos. It was decent. It was okay. The fact that the Usos are now champions once again, I have no problem with it. I think it's fine. The Usos are one of the best tag teams in the WWE. I don't think you're going to get, a 5-star match out of The Miz and Shane McMahon, but the action was solid, and there was one spot where The Miz hit a springboard double axe handle during the match, and that was one that really, really stuck out for me. As far as grading this match, I want to give it like a B+. It was a good match. I enjoyed it. As far as overall, the Usos are now your SmackDown Tag Team Champions once again. And then we got into a match that really didn't make much sense to me. As soon as they announced it, it didn't make sense to me. Finn Balor versus Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush. Obviously, they were going to set this up for Lio Rush to take the pin, which is what did happen. Finn Balor is your new Intercontinental Champion. First time as Intercontinental Champion with the WWE. Custom Wrestling Graphics, thanks for showing up, man. Catch you on the flip side. And after the match, we did see Bobby Lashley turn on Lio Rush. The only way they could have made this match work is for Finn Balor to defeat and pin Lio Rush. Still have Bobby Lashley strong, and Bobby Lashley turns on Lio Rush. It kind of reminded me back when Jinder Mahal and the Singh brothers, they had that bit of a falling out where Jinder Mahal was turning on them. Bobby Lashley really reminds me of Jinder Mahal. So I don't know. It was a match. I want to give it like a C maybe overall. It wasn't anything great. It was okay. As far as booking on Finn, I think it was horrible booking on his behalf for him to just win by defeating Lio Rush. Lio Rush, nothing against him, great worker, but he's just basically a part of the cruiserweight division, and Finn Balor pinning him should have been a no-brainer. So overall, that match, I want to give it a C. Then we went into probably the worst match of the night. Obviously, they had different reasoning for having this match, and we'll get into that in a moment. We had Ronda Rousey versus Ruby Riot. Ronda Rousey came out looking like Sonya Blade, as she is the Sonya Blade character in the new Mortal Kombat game. And before the match, Charlotte Flair cut a promo saying Becky Lynch panders to fans for their approval, while Flair looks into the mirror and gets all the approval she needs. She then sat ringside, and then it basically was a really quick match. Rousey hit the armbar, and Ruby Riot tapped, and the match was over. It was a bit of a dud to me. It was a dud. I couldn't really even grade it. Maybe an F. It wasn't anything special. Sprix 3D, I thought I was the only one who thought Finn is just a cruiserweight. You know what? I think Finn's a lot more special than just a cruiserweight. I think he brings a lot more to the table than a lot of the guys on 205 Live. So I wouldn't put him in the same category. So that's what I think. Afterwards, they did have Charlotte Flair go down into the ring. She had a bit of a stare down with Ronda Rousey. And then Becky Lynch showed up. Becky Lynch is coming through the crowd with crutches. If you don't know, Becky Lynch was quote-unquote injured last night once again at the hands of Charlotte Flair at a live event in Alexandria, Louisiana. And this caused Becky Lynch to continue to work her leg as she's injured, part of the angle she's injured. And this segment with Becky Lynch was one of the better overall segments on the show. It overshadowed the Ronda Rousey versus Ruby Riot match. Lynch came into the ring with her crutches, and she basically just cleared house with her crutches. She caught Ronda Rousey a couple times against the head, which caused Rousey to bleed. And quite honestly, it was a good segment. Security came, took Becky Lynch away. She kind of was like on similar to something Stone Cold would do, where she had her hands behind her back, almost like she was getting arrested. If you do remember back in the day when Stone Cold used to, be escorted out of the arena, arrested by, security, arrested by police. It kind of gave me that same type of vibe. Obviously, they're building up to Becky Lynch somehow making her way into that WrestleMania match between Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey. This is a perfect way to segue into Becky Lynch still in the story. She's still suspended. She will make her way into WrestleMania. We will maybe see something at Fastlane, or maybe they'll let her have a match, or they'll have some sort of stipulation where she can get out of her suspension somehow, as long as she beats Charlotte Flair. I guess we'll just have to wait and see exactly how that one does pan out. Sprix 3D, do you think Brock will have a match at Fastlane or not until Mania? Honestly, I think I don't think we're going to see Seth until Mania, and I don't think we're going to see Brock until Mania. As far as wrestling goes, I think we'll see promos from both of them. Seth is dealing with a back injury, and he isn't totally off the shelf right now. Sorry, on the shelf right now. But the WWE does feel like they need to just keep him good until WrestleMania so he doesn't basically hurt his back anymore. Brock might wrestle live shows. Anderson, at this point in time, I think if Brock was going to wrestle live shows prior to WrestleMania, they would have already started to hype that, just for the fact that tickets for all of the live events prior to WrestleMania have already gone on sale. So I think that would have been more of a ticket seller to announce Brock would have been on some of these shows, but he hasn't been announced. I know he will be on some Raws leading into WrestleMania, but that's all I know right now. Then we went into a no DQ match between Baron Corbin and Braun Strowman. This one, it was okay. It was better than the Ruby Riot versus Ronda Rousey match, but it wasn't anything great. Obviously, they had to make it a no DQ match, as Strowman versus Baron Corbin in just a one-on-one match. It would have been terrible if you ask me. Both of these guys, bigger guys, I don't think that they could work that great together. I've seen matches, and they're nothing to write home about. As far as them making it a no DQ match, made it a little bit better. The ending, where we've seen Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre come out, and then they were triple teaming on Braun Strowman, that really made the match here. It made it from terrible to all right. And that one spot where they put Braun Strowman through both tables, that was kind of neat. I like seeing Braun Strowman take bumps like that. So it was a match. I can't really say anything good about it. It was a match. It was a part of the card. Obviously, it's furthering a storyline. The Braun Strowman still has some enemies when it comes to Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, and Baron Corbin. And then we did have a segment backstage where The Miz was basically flipping out, where Shane McMahon was being checked out by some of the trainers for having a potentially broken hand. And Miz basically lost his cool about dropping the titles, and McMahon told him go home and they'll work everything out on Tuesday. Obviously, The Miz was not happy about losing the title. He's not happy about letting his dad down. So that was that. And then out of nowhere, for no apparent reason, maybe Kevin Dunn was in the back saying, Vince, we got 10 extra seconds. They put Lacey Evans out there. She catwalks for no apparent reason. Her music was out there for about 10 seconds. She walked down the ramp halfway, walked back up the ramp. That was it. And then they did some promo for some charity work the WWE is doing. No reason whatsoever Lacey Evans was out there. Vince obviously called it, saying, hey, throw out one of the new people. And they threw her out there for a few seconds. And that was that. I'm going to just have a quick drink right here of my iced tea before we get into the main event. Let's check out this chat here. Sami and KO return to take the Smackdown Tag Team belts at Mania. Could you see Kevin and Sami coming back to assist Braun? You know, that would be interesting. I really want Bray Wyatt and maybe even Luke Harper. I think that would be cool if those guys somehow came into a faction with Braun once again. Maybe have the Wyatt family once again. Maybe once they do the Superstar Shakeup, they can have them all together. I'm not so sure. WWE needs to use Gallows and Anderson and Sanity more. Tag team wrestling is still huge. I do agree. Gallows and Anderson need to be used better. Sanity, obviously, I think they've given up on Sanity. They haven't really been doing much with them. I don't know why, but they just really haven't been. I really, really enjoyed their work that they did have in NXT. I'm not sure why they're not using Sanity. Do you think Kofi deserved the title? Torch. Does Kofi deserve the title? Absolutely. Will Kofi get that title? I don't think so. I think they just wanted to have a bit of an underdog story there where Kofi, he was so close to getting it, and it told a good story. The crowd was behind the match. The crowd enjoyed it. I enjoyed the match. I just think that the fact that Daniel Bryan just had that new title made not too long ago, why would they make that title and then have him basically drop that title, go back to the other one, and then it's just like a 1 month, like how long ago did they bring that out? Like a month ago? So it doesn't make sense. Did this pay-per-view go 30 minutes long or 30 minutes short? See, the way the WWE is doing things now, they usually have things where they can have it up to 11 p.m. Eastern, so they can kind of give or take. So obviously, I don't think it went short. I think it went just the right amount of time. Ruby Riott needs better championship match, possibly being added to Mania. Thoughts? Ruby Riott is good. I don't think that she's in line for the women's championship. I think maybe her and Sarah Logan, or her and maybe her and Sarah Logan trying to go for the tag team titles, but I don't think she's championship material as far as the singles title goes. Roy Pinez, no, Kofi did not win. Asuka, they just didn't have a match for her at this pay-per-view, so she wasn't there. As far as the order of entry goes for the final match, the main event, we had Daniel Bryan coming in first. We had Samoa Joe coming in second. Kofi Kingston coming in third. AJ Styles coming in fourth. Jeff Hardy coming in fifth. And Randy Orton coming in sixth. They ruined Drew McIntyre. Well, McIntyre was actually on the pay-per-view, so they did give him a little bit of time, although he didn't have a match, so it's still good to see he was there. As far as eliminations goes for this main event match, Samoa Joe was eliminated first, and I didn't get that. I don't know why they got Samoa Joe out of there that early. Nothing against Jeff Hardy, but I thought that Jeff Hardy should have been eliminated first, and then quite possibly Samoa Joe. But Samoa Joe was eliminated first by AJ Styles, and then Jeff Hardy was eliminated by Daniel Bryan, and then we had AJ Styles eliminated by Orton. So Hardy being eliminated by Daniel Bryan, I get. Joe being eliminated by AJ Styles, I guess I can get that. I guess it's one of those things like they wanted to tell the story where Kingston was going to be one of the last two, and they also didn't want to make Orton look weak. So I don't know. At the same time, Kingston pinned Orton, so it didn't really make much sense. I still think that Bryan should have pinned Orton, but at the same time, that's the way they did it for whatever reason. Third, we had Orton take out Styles, and then we had Kofi Kingston take out Orton, and then in the finals, it was Daniel Bryan defeating Kofi Kingston, and Daniel Bryan is still your WWE champion. I want to give this match an A. It was a great match. It was a great match overall. The crowd was into it. There was a spot on top of the pod where it looked like they were going to go for a suplex off the pod, and then Kofi kicked Daniel Bryan off of the pod. He went onto the top rope, kicked him off there, and then he went for a splash, and Daniel Bryan moved out of the way. That was a cool spot. There was also a cool spot earlier with Kofi Kingston and Daniel Bryan where they were kind of scaling the chain link of the Elimination Chamber. I thought that was cool. Overall, I want to give it an A. It was a great match. It was the best match of the night. I enjoyed it. It was my favorite match of the night. One of the best Elimination Chamber matches I've seen in a while. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was better than last year's Elimination Chamber match. It was good. So yeah, that is the Elimination Chamber. I will stay in the chat for a few more minutes here to see exactly what's going on there. Who do you think will get called up next? Heel by Nature. I would love to see Aleister Black and Velveteen Dream being called up, But at the same time, I want to know what they're going to do with these most recent call-ups. EC3, he's a bit of a joke. Lacey Evans, a joke. Heavy Machinery, I think they're doing more with them than they're doing with the other three. Heavy Machinery, they're supposed to be a bit of a joke. That's their character. But they're not treating them like total jokes, I don't think. They're treating them like how their characters should be treated. They're treating EC3 terribly. I think that they really need to do something with him in order to show that, he can be a main event wrestler. He's got the look. He can talk. I don't know. I think that they're really shitting on EC3. When will Lars Sullivan return? Lars Sullivan, he's currently on a leave of absence. So as far as the WWE says, he can return at any time, but that is basically his call. So he's on a leave of absence right now. Rishav, what's going on, man? Hope you're doing good there tonight. EC3, I think he could talk. Like in Impact, he was good. I thought he was all right. I don't know about you. I thought he was fine. I don't think they're letting him talk in WWE. Isn't Ambrose leaving before WrestleMania? Victoria, I think Ambrose is leaving just right after WrestleMania. I think he's going to have his final match there. What's goody, Brian? How you doing? I never heard him talk no more. So yeah, he just doesn't talk in WWE, really. Is Kofi breaking away from the New Day? Joe, I don't think he's going to break away. I would like to see him get a bit of a singles run by still being with the New Day, but he's not breaking away. They should bring in Dixie Carter. I don't think they should. Speaking of tonight, there was an appearance that we didn't really see. Karen Jarrett was in the crowd tonight. Jeff Jarrett's wife. Why did Rousey wear Sonya Blade gear? I'm not 100% sure. Maybe they had an agreement with the Mortal Kombat people that she would come out. I'm not sure. Joey Venditti, what's up? How you doing? Velveteen Dream would be the future WWE needs. Don't ever compare EC3 to Cena. That's funny. Anyways, guys, it's been great chatting with y'all tonight. This isn't the last time. I'm going to be doing more live streaming. I do have a setup here now. I am working on getting my actual studio set up as well, where I will be filming videos. Right now, it's kind of, it's nothing too special, but I am working on that as well, my actual studio. I do have a room upstairs where I am getting some lights and different things like that. So that will be coming soon as well. But for now, I just might do some live streams from my living room, as well as do my weekly Wrestling Connect videos from upstairs in my quote-unquote studio, which I have right now. But we have somebody, F Heel by Nature. Thank you for your support. I do appreciate it. One of my favorites. Made a whole YouTube channel just to say F you Heel. F you Heel. This is great. I'm sure it asked me to hide it, so I'm gonna let him give his 2 seconds of fame. Go nuts. Is that all you can say? F. Oh well, it's all gravy. I do appreciate everybody. I will be doing coming soon as well. I'm gonna try to be doing where people can call in. I might even be doing video where people can come on video with me. Maybe we'll set up some sort of Google Hangout or a Skype session where if you want to come on video, we can talk about events and do stuff like that. You know, sky's the limit. Until then, heelbynature.com, daily pro wrestling news. We're still on YouTube here at Heel by Nature YT on Twitter and Instagram. Happy birthday to Martin Rodriguez. It is his birthday tonight. And there's going to be a lot of prank callers, though. You know I love my prank callers. If you listen to some of the old audio shows, I used to have some great prank callers. Anyways, guys, you have yourself a good night and peace.